I wrote my main college essay about the fact that I have a sort of disorder that makes me unorganized and makes me clumsy at points, and why it made me unique and why I was really happy that I had it because it made me who I was.
I wrote about something that I think many people in high school, especially men, experience, which is like you have one political belief that you're raised with, and then you have it challenged.
I wrote my coming up essay about being part of a team and how that impacted me and the way I saw the world and developed friendships and developed experiences.
It was I don't do things in the way that most people would think is the most efficient way to do something, but I do them in that way, and that's my way of doing it. And I kind of tied that into a couple stories about my family.
Especially on like YouTube, if you watch political videos and that, then you sort of get hit with a bunch of videos of like very conservative people. So I grew up very left wing, and then I was exposed to a bunch of like right wing conservative videos. And so over time, while listening to a conservative podcast every night, I started questioning my liberal beliefs. I was like, well, maybe I was raised in the wrong way. Maybe I was wrong about that.
And I primarily wrote about baseball because that's the most team sport there is, and I played that for ever since I was like 3.
And a little story about me losing my keys. And what ended up happening was all the keys were in the exact same pocket in my bag, and I lost all 3 of them. And my mom was extremely angry at me. And I thought, wow, that's pretty typical of me, and that kind of encapsulates who I am, which is disorganized, but at the same time organized in my head in some way.
Around sophomore or junior year, I started reading online. Reading like the counter arguments and newspaper articles and reputable newspapers like Washington Post or the New York Times, specifically countering the arguments that I saw the merits of. And then, so I kind of went back to the beliefs I was raised with, but I understood why I believed them. Whereas when I was raised with those beliefs, I never questioned why I actually agree with that.
So it just made sense, being the biggest part of my life, to write something about that and something I felt passionate about.
Well, I was just sitting there, and I was thinking about it, and I thought I was having a hard time thinking about what to write for an essay. And then my dad told me the story about my grandfather, and I said, we don't do things the ideal way. And I thought, that's a great story. Okay, I'm gonna write my whole essay around that and why I don't do things the ideal way.
That question kind of showed one way in which I'm unique, which is that I constantly question every belief that I have and everything that I'm told, whether it's in politics or an instruction that I'm given. Whereas I think many people, when they are exposed to a certain political argument that makes sense, just logically in their head, and they have a gut reaction to it that's based on fear or some kind of hatred or some economic disparity or economic desperation, they just agree with that argument blindly.
I chose that I was tossing up with a few ideas, but ultimately the one thing I know best is baseball, and that's the one thing I've done consistently throughout my whole life. So there was a clear path I could show with how I developed from starting off at a young age with team sports and developing those relationships, and then I carried it on all the way through high school. So
I was so inspired by that because it was so personal. And it kind of, in thinking about it from somebody reading its perspective, I was like, this shows them who I am and what I've struggled with, and it also shows that I can write a story and tell a story, and that's why I chose to write about it, because it was, it inspired me, and it felt good to write about that.
And I think that journey of first having liberal beliefs, then starting to flirt with conservative ideas and going back to liberal ideas, it made me unique to most other college applicants that were either just conservative or just liberal. And so I wanted to show that with my approach to politics, which is what I'm applying for, I'm unique to most other participants. I wanted to show most other applicants. I wanted to show that.
don't make it like too difficult on yourself. Write something that seems easy to write about and something you can write a lot about, because it's easy to write the word limit. It's just once you get those ideas, you just need to refine them down to like the key lessons and stuff, because that's all colleges look for, is like what you learned from it. It doesn't matter what you write about, it's just telling a story and telling it like how it affected you in your life.